Just a little bit, kind of a well-rounded practice, but a little bit of opening of the heart to help us stay, away from that sense of I'm just gonna, curl into a cave and not come out when the weather's super cold. So go ahead and close your eyes and have a moment to just come in, ground yourself. When you begin your practice, perhaps ask yourself, how am I today? What is the state of my mind? What is the state of my body? And what is the state of, the energy of my day, the amount that I have to put out, the amount I get to put in? So often we can step onto our mat and forget that we can make our practice anything we want it to be. I hope you don't forget this, but it doesn't have to be anything specific. Even if I'm guiding you in one way, you can diverge and go a whole different way. So it's much better to listen to the answers to these questions and then base your practice on what you're experiencing right now, whatever the needs are for you right now. So just kind of sit with yourself for a moment and get to know any parts of the body that might need some awakening, opening, softening, supporting. Get to know the quality of your thinking. Do you need to kind of slow down or speed up, or do you need to bring attention and focus to help you stay away from the jumpy monkey mind? So whatever you're finding, the breath is our gateway into our practice. So let's start here by just grounding into the body and finding our breath. So many clues to be had in the breath of how we truly are. No matter the turmoil or stress that you've been experiencing, can you kind of land inside the ease of your breath? Feel a sense of drop through your shoulders. Scan and notice any pockets of tension that you might be harboring. Find your way into a state of ease. Relax your eyes. I'm going to start with the balancing breath practice. So some alternate nostril breathing. Take your right thumb on your right nostril, right ring finger on your left nostril. If you have a different way that's more supportive for you, go ahead and do it. So find your body first. Feel the alignment and length of your spine, the support of your structure. Bow just a bit, lift the heart just a little bit. You don't have to create this super bind of the Jalandhara Bandha, but just enough to kind of softly move in on yourself. Check in with your right shoulder and your neck and make sure you can find ease. And then lastly, make sure that you're not deviating your head left or right. Just find the center. Press gently through the right as we open up through the left nostril and breathe in. And then close the left and breathe out through the right. So everybody's pace is different. And you might be like, oh, I need a tissue, and you stop and go blow your nose for a moment. But find your rhythm. You don't have to catch up or slow down. Just be where you are. Notice when you close off one area of your breathing that you can really enhance the sensation of what you're experiencing in your skull, in your sinuses. So awaken the head a bit as you breathe. Notice where breath seeps. Slow things down. As always, when we do this alternate nostril breathing, there's this gift of balance that comes. And you may not feel it right away, it's subtle. Where when we go from the left to the right hemispheres of the brain, there is this beautiful presence of balance that can be had in the brain itself. So let's enjoy bringing ourselves into that kind of harmony as you breathe. Keep an eye on the body. Notice your posture. If you love this breathing, you can, of course, do it for a very long time. We don't just have to do it for a few minutes in the beginning of practice. Your pranayama practice can be a much more lengthy experience if that serves you. Next time you breathe out through the left, complete the technique, the pranayama, and just return to state of breathing through both sides of your nose, and notice how lovely it is to have all these open chambers. Bring your palms together at your heart or mind and offer an intention. Let's release our hands and come onto our back. Okay, so find your way into your practice as you enjoy starting to move. Let's remember that some of the most important things you can do in your practice besides breathing is to be very kind to yourself, to have a sense of compassion for the ways in which you maybe are struggling, to offer a state of compassion toward places in your body that you either banish or are in pain. So let's try to welcome ourselves home, all of us, mind, heart, body, soul. Just bring yourself into a state of opening yourself to everything that's possible here in this moment. All right, and then let's bring our knees into our chest and rock a little bit. All right, let's have also a moment, not just a sense of compassion and kindness, but deep appreciation and gratitude for all that's well in your mind and body. All right, let's open the knees away from each other, pulling the knees apart from the midline and back toward the midline, just feeling into the hip joints. And just move the pelvis a little bit while you're here too. See if you can get a little bit of sensation of, a little bit of an anterior tilt, a little bit of a posterior tilt, depending on where your knees are at any moment. All right. Right knee into the chest and left leg comes long on the floor. Move your feet around. Okay, so roll around in your ankles and your toes. Wake up. Especially perhaps you took a walk in the snow yesterday and you have a little bit of weirdness going on in your feet from wearing boots that you don't usually wear. And enjoy your bare feet, no matter how they feel today. Okay, and then switch sides. Left knee in, right leg comes long on the floor, and feel into the movement of your ankles, the movement of your toes. See if you can articulate each bone, just feel into your feet. Give a good squeeze to that knee. And then come on out for your star, stretch into a star, reach into your fingers and your toes, wiggle, get to know the outer edges of your body. And then knees in and come to get to know the inner parts of your body. Give a good squeeze to the center. And let's do that a few more times, opening your body out, and then exhale, drawing the body in. Once more, feeling the breath. Feel it move through your nose. All right, and put your head down, put your feet down, put your arms down,
Take your feet hip width apart and just rock your legs from side to side. So awakening the side bodies a bit, maybe feeling into what's available here. We're going to do, you might want to grab a block for this. We're going to do a little deeper of a twist. Now it's early in practice to be twisting, so let's just be very careful. Drop knees over left. You're going to pick up your left foot and put it to the outside of your right knee or thigh. You can stick a block somewhere underneath your left or right leg to support you if you don't want to go so deep. And just breathe into the side waist, the hip. And then come back up. Go ahead and rock a couple of times, left and right. We're going to go over to the other side. So knees go over to the right, pick up your right foot and put it to the outside of your left knee or thigh. Support with a block somewhere if you need it. Finding the awakening. Where do you feel this? For different people, it's different places. Could be along your IT band. It could be the outer hip. It could be your glutes. It could be your side waist. Relax, and one more time, come into a little bit of rocking, left and right. We're almost done getting off the floor or being on the floor. Stretch your limbs wide again. Exhale, knees into the chest. Good little hug. Put your head down. Keep your knees in. Hold behind your legs for a moment, behind your knees. And just rock a little bit. Let your back start to open up. We're going to move toward happy baby very slowly here. So first, just starting with our hands behind our knees with a little rocking, and then eventually find your way to your feet where you can kind of compress your knees down a little bit more, feel an opening in your lumbar spine. Breathe well. It's okay to rock. It's okay to be still, whatever feels good for your body. And if you want to rock, perhaps you want to rock a little bit to the right and straighten out your right leg a little bit more, and a little bit to the left and straighten out your left leg. So just find your way here. There's no rules. Just get to explore the body a little bit. And then relax. Now take your right foot, put it on top of your left knee for reverse pigeon pose. I know we often do this later in class, so just notice what's available here right now. You can hold anywhere that you want to hold, behind your thigh, front of your shin. You can hold your right foot and your right knee. Whatever feels nice. Feel free to move a little bit in this posture. Feel free to be still. Relax your head. Come into the breath. We're just waking up the pelvis a little bit, finding all the nooks and crannies. And then switch sides when you're ready. Left foot on top of right knee. And you can hold on wherever your body has a nice grasp. Sometimes I hold my shin. Sometimes I hold behind my thigh. Today I'm holding my foot and my knee. So whatever works for you. All right, let's just go ahead and find movement if you want, stillness if you want. Whatever you're doing, you're breathing. All right. 2 legs, knees in, and then 2 legs straight up in the air. You can hold behind your legs. Let's flex and point the toes here. Just waking up the calves, waking up the feet. Notice when you flex and point your toes, you're looking at your feet. Does one foot, go further than the other foot? Do you have a little bit of imbalance in the mobility of your ankles or your feet or your toes? Okay. All right, let's go ahead and draw the knees in. One last star. See if you can spread out wide, wiggle fingers and toes. Exhale and draw your knees in. Come rolling over onto your side. Hopefully your body's, you're feeling a little bit more embodied, a little bit more awake and alive with the gentle stretching that we've done so far. And let's start moving through some cat-cows. So take a moment to remember your breath and take a moment to feel into the gratitude. Isn't it great that your spine can move like this? Even if you're a little restricted in movement, isn't it great that we can do yoga? Okay, so let's just feel into gratitude. It's easy to take for granted all that's working well and focus only on what's not working well. So let's remember to align with gratitude through our practice. Feel free to move around in any way that serves. Relax your neck. Feel free to wag your tail. Feel free to move your spine, move your head around, just get fluid in the body. How's your breath? And then stretch back towards child's pose. Take the arms out in front of you, relax your head, breathe deeply. Find the breath in, find the breath out. Let's walk our hands over to one side of the mat. Open up the rib cage, relax your head. Deep breath in, deep breath away. Over to the other side you go, stretching the ribs. Deep breath in, deep breath away. All right, so this might be a little much for a shoulder stretch for some people, so just be very mindful. Take your knees at least wide, hip width apart. We're going to take our right arm out to the side and drop your right shoulder down to the ground. And this may be a little too much, so you just go where you go. Find your breath. We're going to come back up and switch sides. Left arm straight out to the side. Allow your left shoulder to soften toward the floor. We're not sinking and collapsing. There's still some integrity, and push weight into your other hand to support your body weight and not let it all land on your shoulder. Stretching up open the front of the shoulder capsule. And then relax and bring yourself back to all fours. Curl your toes under and lift up to dog pose. So we've already, warmed up the tissues a little bit. So see if you can sense into what's here. Do you want to pedal your feet? You need to move around a little bit. Drop one heel, bend the opposite knee. Just come into the awakening of the body. Relax your neck, soften your skull. Deep breath in, deep breath out. So welcome on the in-breath. What's new, what's fresh, what's here? On the out breath, what can you let go? What's happened in the last bit that you can release, surrender? Enjoy breathing at least in through your nose, even if you're exhaling through your mouth. Walk your feet forward and come into Uttanasana. Bend your knees as much as you need. Find the breath. Enjoy a full back body stretch here. Relax your head. And then let's grab onto the base of our skull with the base of our hands. Just a gentle tuck of the chin. Gentle tuck of the chin. Find your breathing. And inhale, halfway lift. The spine is getting longer. Exhale and melt back down. Push off your feet and rise up. Find the upward stance. Now we've been down on the ground for a while, so if you are at all dizzy, just squeeze to the midline. Give yourself a chance to regulate your blood pressure. Find your breath, lift up, lean back if it feels good. Open up your chest, spread your wings, and then take your elbows down and the hands come down too. Shake your hands. Okay, we're gonna do that a couple of times more. Inhale, arms up. Big circle, and then bend your elbows, pull your elbows down, just wake up the back side of your body a little bit, hands down. One more time, open things up, chest is broad, shoulder blades hug, and then relax. Okay. All right, take your feet a little wider than your hips and start to move your body. Okay, so we're just twisting. Now you can do this with your arms, kind of like tapping onto your kidneys or wherever you want to be. You can just start small so that you just get used to a little twisting vibe in the body. And then you can move bigger if you haven't gone there already, where the arms are in a big swing, just loosening up the twisting vibe in your spine. Oh, there's so many little muscles along your spine. See if you can feel into where your ribs and your spine meet. Breathe into the space. See if you can loosen things up. Anything you want with your arms. You can start bending your knees if you want. Just Let your body find any kind of rhythm here. We're just loosening up. Come back, shake out the hands, and ground yourself. So just take a moment. Here we are standing, we're up. We've already kind of touched into a lot of places in the body. So notice if you feel a little bit better than you did 10 minutes ago. So ground your feet, soften your knees, yield, come into the breath. Let's try to counter the slump that we often do. Let the collarbones stand at attention and broaden. See if you can loosen and relax somewhere that doesn't need to support you, maybe the base of your skull or your hands. Let your breath come in fully, full rib cage breath, diaphragmatic breath. Let your breath move, let your belly release and relax to receive. Breathing through the nose. Inviting something new in. Releasing what's ready to be gone. All right, deep breath. Arms up to the sky. Lean back a little bit if it feels good. Exhale and fold forward. Come into a forward fold. Inhale for a halfway lift. The spine is going to get longer. Legs are longer. Sit bones high. Hang out here for a little bit. Spread open the bones of your feet. See if you can feel the four corners of your feet root and rise up to the pelvis. Thigh bones up and back. Knees are soft. A little inner spiral. Sit bones widen. How's your breath? Relax the base of your skull. And exhale and melt again. Bend your knees. Let's step our left foot back and our right foot forward. Lunging here. Okay, let's start to move as we often do. Straightening the front knee, tuck the chin. Going back and forth through the mobility of your legs. Opening the hamstrings. Opening the whole back line of the body. That posterior chain. See if you can feel it open up. The sciatic nerve gets a really good stretch in this pose. And then find a lunge, hand down, left hand down onto the ground or on a block. And let's start to move our way into some twisting postures here. So a little round, big round robin here. So we're opening up a big swing of the arm, like a backstroke swing and down. See if you can feel this in your ribs, not just in your shoulder. All right, and then find your way. Face the floor for a moment. Check in with your back hip. Lift your femur bone, widen your sit bones, and start to twist from your core strength now. As you open up that hand, maybe to the sky, maybe your hand stays on your hip. See if you can prevent the, you want the twist to really happen from your rib cage. So you don't want to just fling your shoulder. You don't want to drop your hip down. See if you can allow the ribs to be the mobile part. Breathing. All right, release your hand down onto the ground. Rise up, crescent lunge. Reaching and extending, maybe a little bit of a back bend here if you feel stable in your core enough to reach your body up and back. Maybe some cactus arms. See what feels good. Exhale, hands down, back foot comes forward. Fold here. Relax your neck. Inhale for a halfway lift. Exhale and melt. Fold back down. Step your right foot back. Come to a lunge on this side. All right, enjoy. Opening up the hip flexors. Let's start to move. Bending and straightening the front knee. Check in with that posterior chain of the body. Feel free to let your chin tuck a little bit as you lengthen through that leg. So we're not over rounding the spine, but we're trying to access the whole back line of the body there. Stretching it open, waking it up. All right, and find yourself in a lunge, hand down on block or floor, that would be your right hand. And we're gonna start to spin open a circle here, a big rotation in the shoulder, but an even bigger rotation in the rib cage. So oftentimes our hip wants to pop out or up. See if you can keep your hip down and in. Ground through your front foot. And when you're ready, We're gonna hang out there. 12 and 6, clap with the arms, shoulders away from the ears. Find a different variation if this isn't right for you. Keep lifting the back thigh, wide sit bones, hug inner thighs, ground through your front foot. The rib cage moves with exhales. Soft neck. All right, let's release our hands down and climb up to crescent lunge. Bring your arms anywhere that serves the body, serves the breath. We're coming into a state of openness here, so welcome your heart. Breathe in. See if you've had a little bit of a closed heart. See if you can consciously let things open. And if you want to cactus your arms, you can do whatever feels nice. Hands down on blocks or floor, and walk your back foot forward. Fold, relax your neck. Halfway lift. Exhale and come back to dog pose. Hands onto the ground, feet back. Take your feet wide, turn your toes in. Toes are at the edges of your mat. Internally rotate your femur bones. Breathe well. All right, we're gonna come forward into a plank. You can keep your legs nice and wide like this if you want to, or you can bring them back to a neutral place, your choice. Shoulders are away from the ears. Integrate the core of your body. Start to turn things on. We're gonna put our knees down onto the ground and walk your elbows down to the floor. Come back to a forearm plank. Okay. Integrate the core again. So turn on your transverse abdominis and notice if you're only turning on your neck. Okay, so see if you can find some ease. Shoulder blades down the back. Integrate the core and the legs. So inner thighs a little bit rolling up toward the sky. Hug your legs toward the midline. Breathing well. Long inhales and then even longer exhale through your nose if you can manage. All right, let's come down onto the ground, still with your forearms like this. Open the chest. Sphinx pose. Stretch through your legs. Try not to fall with your torso into the ground. Integrate your core. And then relax and melt to come back down. Take your arms wider and a wide, big cobra here. Expand open, shoulders down, engage your core. Press your legs into the earth. Exhale and melt. Come down. Come up onto all fours. Move the spine around. See if you can swish your hips. Breathing well. Do some ribcage rolls now. So we're rolling our ribs over to the left, up to the sky, over to the right, and down. Just feel your whole rib cage move. And go the other direction a couple of times. How's your breath? All right, inhale, left arm up to the sky. Exhale, and slide that shoulder down, twisting here. Shoulders are away from the ears. Relax your neck, soften your head. All right, now as we come out, slide the arm underneath you a little bit more and stretch back towards child's pose with the arm underneath you. The chest is facing the ground. Breathing well. And then inhale and open your body up. Exhale and release your hand down. Change sides. Arm up to the sky, right arm. Exhale and slide that shoulder down underneath you. Enjoy. So, a lot of our practice is just trying to sense and enjoy the sensations that you're feeling. Breathe here. Befriend the body. If you run away from your body sometimes, let's just use our practice as an opportunity to befriend. Compassion, kindness towards self. Square the shoulders toward the floor, drop back towards child's pose. The arm is still underneath you. Breathe into the outside of that shoulder capsule. Inhale and reach that arm all the way up. Place the hand down onto the ground. Dog pose. Lengthen up and back. Thigh bones up, thigh bones back. Feel the roots of hands and feet. Yield, push, and reach. Deep breaths, relax your neck. All right, let's walk our feet forward. Come into Uttanasana. And then rise all the way up. If you're dizzy, take a moment to balance yourself out. Excuse me. If you need to hold on to something for this, by all means do. We're going to come just into a quad stretch here. So standing on our right foot, picking up our left foot. You can use a strap around your foot if you need to. And just feel the opening of your quadriceps. Drop the tailbone, lift the pubic bone, and lift the arm in the air. Finding the breath. Okay, we're going to slowly tip forward into dancer. Let the posture be forward facing instead of opening up to the side. So our hips and our shoulders are square. Reach and extend. Find the breath. Come back. Bring the knee right up into the chest and lift the spine. Yield, push, reach. And then place that foot down onto the ground. Let's change sides. You can always grab onto a piece of furniture or a wall to support yourself if you need it. Grab a strap around your ankle if you can't reach your foot, or grab your pants. Okay, so stretch the knee down. Enjoy the quadriceps stretching. Tailbone releases toward the floor, pubic bone lifts. So you're finding that integrity in the core. We're not just falling, right? Reach the arm up in the air. Find the extension. When you're ready, relax your neck. And let's tip forward into dancer pose. You can bend your knee you're standing on a little bit if you want. Try not to let the knee in the air go out. Keep it tucked in. Try not to turn the torso. See if you can keep the torso facing forward. Ribs forward, hips forward. Soften the knee. Reach and extend into the body. There's a lot of work in your glutes if you're tipped over like this, so hold yourself steady. Back up, house breathing through your nose going. Bring that knee up into the chest. Give a good rise, root to rise. And place that foot down onto the ground. Find your breath. Inhale, arms up. We're gonna reach the arms up, interlace your fingers, tip your head back, point the index fingers up, and then all the other fingers interlace. Step your left foot back into Virabhadrasana 1. All right, so notice we're already upright with the body. A lot of times we start this pose from down low. So notice what's here. Can you feel the opening in your thoracic spine, that sense of a little back bend in the thoracic spine, but we're integrating and stable through the lumbar spine. So our core is here. Press your feet. The back foot grounds, feel your glutes turn on both sides. Breathing well. Exhale, release your hands down. Half splits, rise. Exhale, foot down onto the ground. Then two knees, rise up. Interlace your fingers the other way, so the weird way, weird feeling way, and step your other foot back. So now our left foot is forward, our right foot is back. Virabhadrasana 1. Rise up, so ground, yield, reach. See if you can feel that your feet grounding into the earth, all four corners, both feet, glutes turning on, gives you that support for the rise through your spine. Try not to let your low back crunch. We're finding the support through the core and we're opening through the ribs. Exhale, hands down onto blocks or floor, half lift, half splits. And then exhale. And place that foot down onto the ground. Bring your blocks underneath your hands. Step your right foot forward, left foot back. Shorten your stance up. Parsvottanasana legs extend through the heart. Feel the hip reach back, ground through the front big toe. Finding the breath.
And then we're going to use a block, and you can use multiple blocks too. Let's start revolved triangle pose from an upward stance. So stand up. We're going to lift our left arm in the air, right hand on hip. Find your breath, lean forward, and bring that hand to rest lightly on the block. So if you need more height, you can stack one block underneath the other block to see what your body is needing today. Okay, find the breath, reach that hip back, ground through the big toe, and start to twist open. Shoulder blades move down the back. Let the ribs do the moving on the breath, guided by the strength of your core. So we're not trying to just fling our arm back. We're rolling from the rib cage. See if you can feel the underbelly of the pose. So what do your left ribs feel like? See if you can move from your spine and wrap around the ribs to the front on that left side. Keep the right hip moving in, inner thighs rolling back, grounding your feet. Keep checking in with your breath. Is your neck soft? And relax and bring the hands onto two blocks. Back foot comes forward, half lift. Exhale and melt. Take your left foot forward and your right foot back. Two hands on blocks. Blocks are nice because, maybe you're very comfortable on the floor and that's great. But for many of us, having our hands a little higher gives a lot more space for the spine to grow instead of hunkering and rounding, which is what we're trying to avoid. Okay, so feel the rib cage and its spaciousness. Breathe deeply in and out. And as you're ready, come on up to stand and decide whether you want one block, two blocks, no blocks, whatever you've got. Left hand on your hip, right arm in the air. Extend and reach. Find that spaciousness. Reach forward. Place the hand down onto whatever support you're using. Organize your legs before you twist. Inner thighs rolling back, sit bones wide. Ground through your feet. Make sure your front knee is not hyperextended. Stay rooted in the big toe as you pull that hip back, and then start to find the twisting action on the breath. The exhales are taking you into the pose. The ribs are what are moving. We're not just flinging our shoulder back. Find the breath. Open the chest. Breathing deeply. And then relax and melt back. Back foot comes forward. Find your way into Uttanasana. Inhale for a halfway lift. Either put a block between your thighs or legs together, or keep your legs apart with no block, whatever you choose. Find your way into chair pose. If any of you were in class yesterday where we did a lot of work on the hips, see if you can remember that action that we were doing. So maybe put your hands against your knees for a minute and press your knees into your hands, hands into your knees. Pull your feet apart on the mat. Turn your glutes on. Find your breath. Okay, and then let's rise all the way up. Lean back, cactus, open the chest. And then release your arms. Let's find our way to the floor. So maybe you go to dog pose, maybe you just come down, however you like to transition, we're gonna come onto our back. Okay, so for bridge pose, we're gonna do a couple of rounds of some moving bridges first. All right, so feet are grounded. Relax into the floor first, but we're about to move, so you're probably already tense and preparing for a lift off. See if you can first just melt into the ground. Feel your whole body relax. And then start to engage. Ground through four corners of feet. Imagine a block. You can even stick a block between your thighs if you want to. Take a deep breath in. We're going to lift the pelvis. Arms come up overhead. And then exhale. And slowly lower the arms down. Couple of more times. Lift the pelvis. Notice if you have dominance. Is one side the leader? See if you can balance things out, both on the up and on the down. So on the down, do you have a leader? Do you have a leg that likes to work harder? One more time. Four corners of feet. Use all your muscles, open the chest. And then exhale. And lower your body down. Now we're going to find a little bit more openness across the heart. Now that our body's used to the effort that's required for bridge pose, we're going to stay in this posture. So you can modify, you can put a block between your thighs. You can even do this passively with a block under your pelvis. We're going to focus on what the chest is doing now. So as you come up, rock onto the tops of the shoulders, draw those shoulders underneath a bit, feel the neck, make sure there's ease. So, kind of wiggle things around a little bit. Make sure the back of your neck isn't pressing into the ground. We want the back of the head to have a little bit of weight and the chest to lift, but try not to tuck the chin super hard where our cervical spine gets a little bit caught. All right, so press your elbows down. Now you decide, do you want to interlace your hands underneath you? Would you rather have your fingers pointing straight up to the sky? Would you like to have the backs of your hands onto the earth? Find a position that is supportive for you. Relax your neck. Open across the collarbones. Breathe into the bottom rib cage. Grounding four corners of feet. Let your diaphragm move. Relax and melt your pelvis back down. Check in with your neck. We're going to drop our knees left, turn head right, and then change direction. So just windshield wipering our knees and moving our head in opposition to our knees. Breathing well. All right. Relax for a moment. Let's roll over onto our side. Grab onto a blanket or two, or a bolster, whatever you have. We're going to do a little bit of a side body awakening. So the first, just grab one blanket and see how that goes. We're going to put it underneath our rib cage here. So right under the armpits. You might want a block or another blanket for your head. And just see how this feels to open up one side of the rib very gently. And we're going to reach our other arm overhead. Now, I'm stuck by my couch, but if you can bring two arms overhead, you can try putting a block between your hands if that feels good. It feels nice for me to have something to rest my hand on. Find the rib cage mobility here. Breathe. Okay, and then we're going to come back onto our back. Okay, and have a moment, cactus your arms with that blanket under your shoulder blades, a very gentle heart opening here. Cactus arms, and then roll over to your other side. So the blanket is under the ribs. Stretch your arm over your head, support your head in whatever way you need. Breathe into the rib cage. So, part of like losing that hunkering sensation of a closed heart is not just by opening the front of the sternum, but by really getting to know your rib cage and moving well in your ribs. This will help your breath. This will help your heart opening. Okay, let's come back. One more time, a gentle chest opener over that blanket. All right, we're going to roll over onto our side. We're going to do this. Now, you can add a blanket to this if you want. I'm going to put two blankets underneath me. If you have a bolster, you could try that. You might stick with one blanket. You decide how this is going to be. We're going to put this right under our hip joint. So right at the head of your femur bone, not in your side waist. Okay, so we're going to come down. Now, for some people, having your feet together is way too hard. If that's the case, put a block between your shins to do this pose. And then same thing, arm comes overhead. And you might need to do some little adjusting, like I'm a little too high. I want to have the blankets a little lower on my femur bone. So we're trying to open the side waist here, open the pelvis, and let the ribs open from the side angle perspective. So breathe into the side of your body. And then we're going to roll onto our belly this time, not onto our back. and put you're gonna let the blanket be right underneath your pelvis. And just rest for a moment on your belly. Turn your head one way or the other. The blanket is underneath the tops of your thighs and your pelvis. All right, we're gonna roll to the other side. If you want to use a block between your shins, go for it. If you need support underneath your head with a blanket or a block, go for it. So take the posture how you can. I'm doing this on blankets, but if you have a bolster, I find it to be a little bit more comfortable on a bolster, but you do you. Your arms come up overhead. Find your side waist. Breathe into your side waist. Adjust the blankets, whatever place feels best. Sometimes a little lower is a little better. Roll back onto our belly. So the blanket, bolster, pillow, whatever you're using is under your pelvis. Turn your head the other way. Breathing here. Let the back body breathe. All right, come off of the blanket onto all fours and move your spine around. So you can wag your tail, you can do some circles, you can do some cat-cows, perhaps come back to child's pose. All right, so find the ease, drop in. Full breaths here, full inhales, full exhales. All right, so I'm going to give you some choices depending on whether you want to be very active in your practice right now or you'd rather do a back bend that's a little bit more passive. So, and how to choose, right? So of course, if you just have energy burn and you need to move, then that's one thing. But think also about what is going to serve my capacity to be open. So sometimes restorative back bends are a little bit better for us because we rest and relax instead of a push and a force. So know yourself, know which is what you need right now. So if you want something passive, heart bench is what we're going to do. So one block under your head, one block between your shoulder blades. If you want to, if that feels very ouchy to you because it's hard, you can always put a blanket over top and lay back in heart bench. Okay, so you want the blanket or the block that's underneath your shoulder blades. You can experiment. If you're short, you might want the block this way. If you're tall, you might want the block this way. And if you're kind of in the middle, figure out which one you want. Some days I do this, some days I do this. And you want it to be right in between your shoulder blades on whichever place. And the other one's underneath the base of your skull. If it's too pokey to have it just be the blocks, then by all means, take some extra support. If you're going to be furthering the active variations, we're going to do camel pose. So either come down to rest, and you don't have to do camel pose. What's your back bend? What do you feel like doing? I'm going to teach camel pose, but you do you. Okay, so press your shins into the ground. You can have your hands fingertips pointing down to support the downward movement of your sacrum. Lift up through your spine, find your breath, and then you might curl your toes under so your heels are a little higher. You might have two blocks next to you so you can put your hands back on blocks. So you find or you can have your feet down and grab the heels there. So whatever works for your body, I'm gonna curl my toes under. All right, so reach back with one, then reach back with the other. Now try not to let the head fall. Create a little support with your traps for your head. Lift your sternum, tailbone down, pubic bone up, press your shins. Find the open chest. All right, come up and out of the pose and come to lay down on your back. If you're still in heart bench, stay for a bit longer. Find your breath if you're releasing from camel pose, come to put your knees on the floor or feet on the floor, knees up, and we're just gonna windshield wiper our knees in a little twist. Okay, turning the head in opposition of your knees. So just rest for a moment. No matter which position you're in, whether you're flat on the ground with your knees bent or whether you're in heart bench, bring your breath fluidly, fully into your ribs. Remember that alternate nostril breathing. See if you can open the chambers of your sinuses fully. Every exhale is an opportunity to let go. Every inhale is an opportunity to bring something new. It sounds cliche, but it's so true. And it's available every single breath we take. All right, so let's find our way out of heart bench. Let's all meet on our back on the floor. Okay, find your breath. We're gonna do a full twist here. So pick up hips, drop them over to the right, knees come up and go left. Find your breath, open the rib cage again, turn your head and relax your neck. Deep inhales. Deep exhales. Inhale and lift the knees and the head back to neutral. Move your hips the other way. Knees come up and drop them to the side. Breathe your way here. Inhale and come back up. All right, so reverse your pigeon pose, just like we did in the beginning of class. However, if you feel like doing, I know everybody loves reverse pigeon pose, but if you want something a little different, you can stack your blankets again, put your pelvis on the blankets, and then take thigh over thigh. Strain. This will start to posterior tilt the pelvis a little bit, if that's what your body feels like it needs. So make a choice, this or reverse pigeon pose. Okay. If you're in reverse pigeon pose, be flat on the ground. And you can do the cross thigh pose flat on the ground too. You don't have to come up on bolsters. So you do you. Soften your neck, relax your body. Breathe deeply. Change sides when you're ready. There's no rush to get to where you're going. Especially if you're in reverse pigeon pose, see if you can not let your shoulders have to do so much work. Relax your head and shoulders as much as possible. All right, unwind that posture. Lift your legs straight up in the air. Find an open breath. We're going to come into happy baby pose. So if you're on the blanket, you can stay. If you're on the floor, you can stay. Doesn't matter. Let's just go ahead and find our way into a full flexion. Breathe well. Let the back relax. All right, and then go ahead and find your way towards Shavasana. So as you get comfortable, you might want some support underneath your knees. You might want some support underneath your head. Maybe you're chilled and need some blankets over you. So find what's available, what's good for your body. Deep breaths in. Deep breaths out. So as you find yourself resting, as the ease starts to come, let's remember our birthright that we are open, free beings. We do not have to bind ourselves so much. We have choice to bring ease and freedom. So find a little bit of that here. Make sure you are supported well so that your body really can give up the tension patterns. Come back to the steady rhythm of your breath. Sometimes our breath can help us release some hidden tension patterns, or maybe not even so hidden. Feel the head rest. Feel the neck rest. Feel the eyes and the tongue and the jaw rest. And breathe deeply into open sinuses. Soften through your body.
Begin to deepen our breathing again. Ease your body, ease your breath. Start to feel into a state of softness through your limbs and maybe begin to wiggle fingers and toes. Let's find our way to our side as you're ready. Take your time. There's no rush. We want to gather the energy of our practice and bring it with us. So don't spring up and go. See if you can slowly transition. Breathe as you go. Once you come to a seated posture, take a moment to find your breath. Let's offer our energy, send your love, your care, your prayers, your thoughts to someone who needs you. Namaste. Blessings on the day. Hope everyone has a wonderful day.